Hey there, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show with Sasha and Ish. All right, you're listening to the Not So Breakfast Show, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today we are talking about how do you become your company MVP, most valuable player. We're going to look at all things about hiring talent and being that talent that gets hired. We've brought our longtime friend Anna Lyon onto the podcast. She is a subject matter expert around HR, and the three of us are going to unpack this topic. Plus, finally revealed, how did Sasha get that job?
And so my name, most of you will know, is Sasha Marie Coburn. And when I got the job, it became clear that they weren't A, going to train me, and B, I couldn't do the job. But I couldn't understand why they'd hired me. And I'd been in the role for about, 4 or 5 weeks. And someone said to me, oh yeah, the partner that employed you, his daughter is coming in to work. I said, oh, that'd be lovely to meet her.
And this is why we edit. Well, that has been an awesome chat, Sash. Oh, sorry. Well, that has been an awesome chat, Anna. We have loved having you.
Oh, no, I like the first one.
Okay, I can start again. All right, that's the show. Let's get it. All right, welcome to Not So Breakfast Show today, and this is the one where we get to talk about how to become your company MVP, most valuable player. How do you win Employee of the Month every month? There is another way to talk about that. We wanted to do this discussion, and we thought, well, we've got some expertise in this area, but what we need is a subject matter expert really in this area. And we're pretty excited, to be honest, because if you listen to the show a lot, you know that we often will talk about this mystery person called Anna that used to be in our team that may have been referred to as the weakest link, may have been referred to as the person that we've had to support and drag along. But I can tell you right now, that is as far from the truth as we can get, and we are so pleased to have Anna on the show because she has literally hired thousands, promoted and developed so many people, and fired a few as well. And we thought we could tap into that expertise around how you become a great employee and how you hire great talent. But maybe just before we get to Anna, Sasha, you're looking better today. I don't know what's happened. It's almost like a new Sasha's turned up on screen.
It could just be that my big fat lip is returning to its normal size. It's still a little bit squidgy, but not too bad.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Anyway, we obviously known Anna for a long time.
Well, I've known Anna for a really long time. So any of you who are familiar with the size of Aotearoa New Zealand will know that it's tiny. So the idea that you can somehow manage your conflict of interests is ridiculous because everybody knows everybody along the way. So let's just put it out there right at the very beginning. I first met Anna when I kind of secretly went out with her older brother. So that's how I first met Anna. And then I've had much delight in working with her professionally over the last 100 years. And she is absolutely one of my favorite people. And I'm so stoked to have her on the podcast. We actually had to organize this just so the three of us could catch up, right?
Yeah, we're trying not to make it a trip down memory lane. But
really?
Anna, welcome to the podcast. It is so cool to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you guys. And I know that you had to cut me out for a little while. I was showing you up, but it's good to be back in the trio.
It does kind of feel like we've completed the set. And, you know, we've often talked about the power of high-performing teams and really when you get that mastermind group together, and this is our mastermind group. We've literally written manuals, written training, developed facilitators and presenters, and then delivered training all over the place. And behind us, who really get to be on stage so often, you have just been a rock and an anchor. So thank you very much for all the support you've given us over the years.
So I've been the nerd, as you say it.
You've been the nerd.
Why shouldn't we write the magic you guys are saying down?
I think it got all summed up with the email communication backwards and forwards that we had in setting up this podcast, which really just came to its final point today when Anna reached out and said, so have you got any questions that you're wanting to ask? And I said, hey, are you new? Do you not know us? It's like, this is about as structured as we get.
Just turn up and talk.
Just turn up and talk. But maybe to get this conversation rolling, why don't you give us a little bit of background into your interest in why you are so passionate about the stuff that you do?
Okay, but do you know what springs to mind straight away? And when you and I were talking about maybe what I could talk about is how long your career is. And so how important it is that you think kind of strategically about who you are as an employee. Because I tell you what, there's a lot of people that have left organisations that I've worked in, and I think I would give them a reference, until the day I die, and others where I pat them on the back and I think, see you later. Your career is long, and gosh, Sash would have been right back at the beginning when I got into back then kind of more learning and development. So I've always been really passionate about developing people and seeing someone's magic and wondering how that could help an organisation, and then how I could team it up with other talents in order to get kind of great results. And Sasha actually introduced me to Dion many, many years ago, and I started training with Les Mills New Zealand. And then over years, I've kind of broadened out, and now I work more with organisations around building great cultures and working with leadership teams, because that's obviously where you can have more impact and influence.
No, that's good. And I know that you were literally shoulder tapped to come back to Les Mills and into that position, and the value that you just added. And I just love the way that you can look at not just what needs to be done now, but look at the future of maybe where things are going. And so to your point before, when you kind of think about career and how long people's careers are, and although you may jump in and out of businesses or in and out of different things, there's probably a thread that kind of keeps those things together and keeps them in line, and those traits that people look for and companies are looking for when they engage in how do we get great talent, how do we solve the talent issue, and how do we develop people to be the talent that we need for where our business is going to be in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was, playing around with, okay, well, who, what are the qualities of those people? And as I listed them out, as only I would do,
on Post-its,
I stepped back and I looked at them and I thought, man, they're actually all about being a good human and about the ability to build great relationships with other people. And I think maybe back in the day, even when we were maybe starting out, there was a real focus on stars and people that had some unique, incredible talents. And it didn't really matter if they were assholes in terms of how they treated other people. They just got the job done and, delivered. And now I think more and more when I'm sitting with leadership teams behind the scenes talking about, who they might hire or promote or give a pay rise to, they're talking about what is this person like to be around, and do other people like them, and can they work in a team and collaborate effectively? And, now the world's going even broader than that and thinking about diversity and inclusion and belonging. And I think organisations have and leaders have finally realised that actually someone who can kind of pull on a greater good and the group effect is far more beneficial to you than someone who's just one talent in and of their own sort of self.
And I mean, if you think back, we can't all be Employee of the Month every month. Some people in this group may have actually achieved that title for up on almost a year and a half, I think is the record. Was that the record? It might have been me. Although, to be fair, it was my competition that I initiated, and I just happened to win.
You would think it would get old. But yeah, Ish ran staff meeting, still runs staff meeting, actually ran it for many years, and we decided we needed to do more recognition, and so Employee of the Month was going to be it. And so the first month, Ish awarded himself Employee of the Month, and that was quite funny. He had a few kind of irrelevant random qualities, but as it went on, it seemed to get funnier and funnier, and this week, it's still Ish.
Kind of like it became the thing where people just wanted their name to be in the top 3 towards the end, even though they knew they just weren't going to win. It's funny, eh? It's just, but that's probably not the right way to win Employee of the Month. Like, what sort of traits and qualities are businesses looking for when they do hire talent, when we are looking for good people?
The first thing I wrote down was grateful people. And we think we've talked a lot, recently about sort of that generation of entitlement, and the opposite of that to me is someone who starts with that perspective that most of us are bloody lucky to work in the countries we work in and to work, work in the jobs we work in. You often have said, Ish, you're grateful every day you're not stacking shelves in the supermarket with, not being a typical kind of school, superstar. And I think we all like giving stuff to grateful people because we like giving them opportunity. We like it that and it doesn't mean that you're not able to stand up for yourself or ask for what it is that you deserve. But it's keeping the perspective that actually our jobs are typically pretty awesome and I'm really lucky to have one. And I was thinking about my journey through COVID and how difficult my job was. And lots of people had tough times, but probably being in HR, in a business where you have known and loved the people so much for so many years, and the industry was impacted so severely, it was not what you would say was the best job in the world, and a lot of really, really horrible conversations and things to have to do. And I remember ringing my dad once, and I must have been having a bit of a cry and just saying, it's just so tough and I hate it and, I want it to stop. And he would say to me, but aren't you just so lucky to have a job?
Aren't you so lucky to have the job of firing the people from having the jobs? I mean, which role would you rather be in, Anna? Would you rather be the person getting fired or the person doing the firing? Who are you to complain right now?
Yeah.
Go, Robert. Good chat, Dad.
Another one is people that add to your culture as opposed to take from it. And that is, interestingly, an Emma Barry insight that I stole many years ago. We used to do a lot of interviewing for Lesbians International together. And that's quite a kind of sexy brand to work for. It's like energetic. And we would often get people either turning up with something to offer that would diversify it or make it more interesting, or they would turn up and talk about, what they would like to take from it. So I think just as an employee, is what the starting point is, what will I bring? Will it be energy? Will it be fun? Will it be difference? Will it be challenge? What is it that I'm bringing as opposed to what I'm getting?
I don't know if I could turn up and say what I'm bringing is the ability to win the Employee of the Month, because I will be awarding it to myself and coming up with my own criteria.
It does take a special type of conversation to bring that to the table. But I do like what you're saying there around what people are bringing, not just what they're wanting to get from it. Because I guess we spend a lot of time as companies looking at what our employer brand is, like what we give. It always feels like we're trying to convince people to come and work for us. And although the environment is probably very much like that right now, I think that's quite insightful to think that if I am going into that environment, to have that awareness for what am I bringing? And if they do ask me that question, what will I say?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about take. There's enough people out there that are doing that. So if you can identify what your skill set is, where you add value, give examples of where you've added value at the past and what you can bring to a role, that does make you more attractive. That could be the thing that differentiates you all as the person who's going to be bringing something to the role, not just capable of doing the role.
I'm really interested to know, Anna, if you look at, say, people that you've observed over 10, 15, 20 years, what do you see in the way people develop that enables them to continue to grow in their career? Like someone might start out in a relatively junior role along with 5 others, and 1 or 2 of them will get promoted. What are they doing that sets them apart?
I'm trying to think about something less obvious than this, but I can't, because to me it always starts with self-awareness, and in 2 ways. One, even weirdly, when I'm looking at CVs, I'll look in a nanosecond at someone's journey and their story and quite quickly pick up whether it makes sense or not, because that sort of feeds into do they know themselves? Do they know what their values are and what matters to them? Because I think people, if you can do anything, it's getting really familiar with and spending some time reflecting on what are my personal values, what really matters to me. And then you go after the opportunities that align with those values. And, in coaching, we talk a lot about trying to get to the value behind the goal, because the value behind the goal, why you want to do something, if it sits really close to like what matters to you as a human, then you're really propelled and driven towards it. So, so two things, that self-awareness, I realize what I'm not good at, and I realize what it is that I really want and what really matters to me. Those would be two qualities that I see in people that develop.
It's so interesting to me. I've been doing a bunch of mid-level leadership training recently, so people who are new to leadership, but they've been in organisations for 5, 6, 7 years, and these are professional people, they're university qualified, they are doing quote-unquote important cognitive, intellectual type work. And they just have not been exposed to a bunch of the ideas that we were exposed to perhaps when we were 18 or 19 through various training programs. And I just see there's such a gap for people to become familiar with ideas of personal high performance and personal responsibility and understanding yourself and knowing how you fit, working out why you get pissed off in certain situations. And it's like there's this missing piece. I mean, we should be teaching kids that, to my mind, right?
100%. Totally.
Because by the time someone's learning this when they're 30, they've already wrecked a whole lot of people along the way. They've already had some terrible work experiences. I mean, I think about so many of the mistakes that I've made were so well-intentioned, but they were so dumb in hindsight because no one had pulled me aside to say, actually, just have a bit of a reflection, think about this from the other person's perspective, and that's all I needed.
Yeah.
And maybe because when you're younger as well, like your progression often is based on how do I get more money? How do I get myself into a position where I've got some responsibility? And I think we go after those things without thinking about what am I trying to develop here? Like you said, switching on those levels of awareness of, does this align with my value set? Is this something that I am passionate about? Is this something that I'm going to grow from and that I can add to? And then knowing that everything you grow from then becomes something that you can then add to and give back to. So like you said, Sasha, if you can switch on that level of awareness younger, it's going to be useful. The problem is sometimes we don't want to hear it when we're sort of at the beginning.
Too busy knowing it all.
Yeah, well, we're not ready to hear it, right? Like I remember in my early career, it was very much about, well, how do I just get ahead? Yeah. I just want to earn more money and I just want to get a position of responsibility. But when it finally switched on and I could identify the things that I was good at and where I added value, suddenly those opportunities were just in front of me. And I was like, oh, wait, there's an opportunity. That makes sense. I can do that. As a result, the promotion started.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-Minute Presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-Minute Presenter program.
It's so funny when you're talking about understanding your values and the why behind it, because as you're saying it, I'm just going, I want to be really well paid. Would you do the same thing, Ash? I'm just going, what do I need to do to get lots more money? And that's like the wrong answer. The right answer is supposed to be, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm like, no. How do I get more money? And how do I get more power so that I can be more powerful? But it's true. I want to be more powerful.
Totally. And the question is why you start with that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, well, it doesn't feel very like noble. It feels like, we're supposed to have these things that we're passionate about, like doing good in the world. And I'm like, no, I want money and power.
But is that a measure for you? Because the thing is, like, I think you can get money and power and it totally makes sense because you just do what you do. You add so much value. And it's like, well, how do I just maximize the opportunity and skill set that I've got, as opposed to the person that goes, how do I get more money and power? And I'm going to do anything in order to get that. Like that, they're definitely different sides of the coin.
Yeah.
And you've got a really strong altruism drive too, right? So you like earning money, you like maybe having influence. That's usually how power plays out. It drive you nuts if you couldn't actually, get what you needed done. But then you really like to give back and make a difference.
I do like to give it away. That's true. I mean, I never have any money.
Remember that shitload of money you made last week, Sash? Oh, wait, you don't have it anymore.
Yeah, no, it's gone. It's gone.
It's funny you say that about kids, because my daughter has and I think there is a piece around personality types. Some personality types are more learning orientated than others, and she's not. So she's either good at it or she's not. And she's only 10. And I've been doing some work with one of her teachers around trying to switch her into a growth mindset. It's not static. She isn't this intelligent for life or this, good at riding a bike for life. And the teacher talked about a book called Mindset. But the main takeout for me was that now we say to my daughter, you can't do it yet. You can't do it yet. And it was just the addition. Now I just sat to her and she's like, the wrestle, but the yet just extends her out into the potential of it's possible,
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day when they were talking about when skills are learnt and developed, there's this stuff called myon that basically it's like something that surrounds your brain synapses and all this kind of stuff, and it starts to, the more myon you have, the faster you can learn skills and develop skills. But they said one of the things that develops it is also failing. It's trying stuff and it not succeeding, and it develops more of the stuff, and then that kind of overflow of it makes other skills easier. And they were talking about how you can accelerate learning potential by just doing lots of things and trying lots of things and expanding your mind. And it doesn't matter that you can't quite get it. It's the fact that you're trying to get it that actually starts developing you. But how often as adults do we try one or two things and go, that's too hard. I can't do that.
I tried Duolingo once, but I can't speak French.
What's the point, man?
I think part of the if we look at kids, part of the thing is we reward the wrong things from a really early age. So we line all the 5-year-olds up and we say run, and then the ones that win, we go, yay, you're a runner. So we give kids these messages about talent. You're in the talented program, or you're not, or you can play the guitar or you can't. And, all Carol Dweck's work is around that possibility, the growth mindset, how you teach kids to learn and understand the process of learning. Yeah. But so many of our classroom rewards are just all wrong.
So I've had an interesting situation lately where I had someone, it's interesting. Someone that I hired.
Okay, here we go.
No
Each
pressure.
of the six. There's no
and I hired
pressure.
them,
here
and
we go.
They were amazing. They were like the best solution ever, but they're not staying. So I only had them for a small moment in time. And now I think back and go, should I have hired exceptional talent, or should I have hired the person that I could have developed into the role for the future?
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
You did not oversell that
good.
question.
Phew.
That is a great question.
Can I have a great answer? No pressure.
Yeah, hopefully Anna can answer it now. You know what she's going to say? Guys, if you had just given it to me in advance, I could have thought about this.
I was going to say, why is she leaving?
So she's got another opportunity that's better than we could give her. And it's a great role, and she's added heaps of value to what she's done, but it felt like a small amount of time. And probably, like I think even when we were hiring her, I think I said at the time, it feels like we're punching above our weight here. I think she's more than we need, but I mean, let's go kind of thing. But actually, I wonder if now I'm going to suffer the consequences of that. And should I think differently?
Yeah, so the scope of the role and the fit of the person into that scope is really important. I'm not saying you could have solved that particular situation. I definitely fit people's story into the role and think, how long will this make sense for them? And so in your circumstance, I would go development over the stepping back slightly in order to make the role make sense for themselves, and so it runs out too quick.
It also depends on what the need is, because it might be that you say someone urgently comes in, they fix things, they set things up, they create a platform for someone else, and you accelerate the whole department's performance in a way that you would never have got to if you had just taken someone on and developed them. So I was, I think it depends on the nature of the role. If someone's setting a system up, if they're fixing something, it may be if someone's creating a platform, then you do hire short-term brilliance, but knowing that that's what it is and good, and then the next person's going to come in and be in more of a maintenance of that. I'm just loving this idea because I've always believed this in theory, but we haven't been able to afford to implement it. And so just recently, Coffee Culture's got to the size where we've been able to actually genuinely employ people who are smarter than everyone else in the building. And that's been great because we know that we've outgrown some of our own expertise, and we've been able to bring people in who bring more to the table. And I don't ever want to say we're only going to employ people that we can manage and control and be the expert. And that's a scary thing as a business owner, watching your own company grow and feeling like maybe it might be getting away on you. And that's an interesting kind of wrestle. I mean, you must see a bit of that, Anna, too.
Yeah. Recently have worked with a business whose culture has served them really well to date. And now they've got too big, and it's the wheels are sort of starting to fall off a bit. And I did a big piece of culture work for them around what bits of their culture will take them forward and what bits will kind of need to change now. And the main insight that came out of it was that the culture is inherently still right, but it needs to evolve. It needs to grow up. And we talked about the business almost being like a teenager, a pimply teenager, where the shoes are slightly too big and they're a bit gang, they don't quite fit anymore. But the personality is still inherently the same as when it was like a startup. It's just that now they can still be innovative and fast paced, but it's got to be in a grown up version of it. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's these different phases of a business, and how do you kind of keep up with that as the leaders and the shaping it.
Yeah, well, I think, you're just highlighting again how important that scoping is around, current state. What do we need now, and where are we heading? And so I guess if we look at it from both sides, like if a company knows that, they know what they're hiring for, and they know what sort of fit they're looking for and where they're going, I guess then an employee coming in, or someone who is going to apply their talent at this place probably needs to have the awareness to be asking those questions as well, like where are you at and where are you heading, so that they then can start to look at what value will they add, and can they add value in this position. And especially as you get more mature in your career, those decisions you make around this is where I want to spend some time, apply some talent, and really develop myself and develop this position is so crucial, because we're making bigger decisions at that point.
Totally. What must you do in order to get the job, aside from the ones which is still so important, like spelling mistakes in your CV? Like still, I'm interviewing at the moment, and we can't get past it. It's like
you knew you were sending this to us, right? You knew we were going to read it, and you still didn't get it proofread.
It's like, really? People turning up to interviews without well-prepared questions to ask. I'm always shocked that you're going to enter into, like you say, like the years of your life, and you think, oh no, that's, do you have a car park, and what are your Christmas parties like, and rather than kind of digging around the culture and what people say they love about it, good good intelligent questions.
Yeah, just treating it like dating, right? If we're going to be in this for a while, there's some things I'd like to know. Are you a psycho?
So when it comes to CVs, though, like, okay, spelling mistakes, we want to make sure that we're, at least getting them formatted. But what sorts of things should we be putting into our CV? Like if we are putting one together and to go for a job, asking for a friend.
Yeah. Layout. That's what I would say. Yeah. So short and really clean and well laid out. Because the reality is most of us look at a lot and we look at them really, really quickly. And I'm really surprised how little care and attention people pay to their CVs, because even if you're getting a role through connections or networks, they always want to see your CV anyway. So it's very difficult to get away from sending it. So doing something with some colour and, looking sharp is everything. And where you can see very clearly someone's story and career progression, off to the side or in some sort of pictures. That's simple stuff. But really, even like marketing people's CVs, I'm always, again, surprised by...
Yeah, you're in marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Your CV is the reason you did not get hired.
I know I got my very first and only law job because I had an absolutely kick-ass CV. And I look at it now and I go, fuck yeah, I'd have hired me. They wanted someone who had 2 years post-qualification experience. I had no post-qualification experience, but I'd said all these things about what my personal philosophy was. And, I had some really great references from other work environments. And so my name, most of you will know, is Sasha Marie Coburn. And when I got the job, it became clear that they weren't, A, going to train me, and B, I couldn't do the job. But I couldn't understand why they'd hired me. And I'd been in the role for about, 4 or 5 weeks. And someone said to me, oh, yeah, the partner that employed you, his daughter is coming in to work. I said, oh, that'd be lovely to meet her. And they said, oh, yeah, her name's Sasha too. I said, that's cute. My name's Sasha. And they said, yeah, her name's Sasha Marie. And I went, oh, my God, he thought it was a sign. He thought it was a sign that someone applied for the job, the same 2 names as his daughter, great kick-ass CV. He's like, she's the one. I'm like, no, it was not a sign. It was a terrible fit. And 6 months later, I was gone. Wicked. Never to be a lawyer ever again.
That is a technique, though. Do some recon, find out the kids' names, change your name.
100%. Yeah. Especially in New Zealand, right? Especially so easy to find.
Okay, so if you are an employee in a business and you are wanting to get some career progression, maybe move ahead, what sorts of opportunities should you look for? And what should you do, I guess, within your role in order to move into another position or to develop your role to the next level?
One of the things I wrote down around what makes a good employee, or who would I look to promote? And this slightly different kind of answer to your question, Ishi, but connected, is actually people who realise that leaders are just humans too, who are limping along. And what I've discovered is mostly doing their best and who do care about their people, but their own stuff gets in the way. And what I find is people who show some sort of grace and some gratitude to their managers or leaders or whoever they're working with, and give them a pat on the back every now and again, actually then also have far more of an opportunity to actually speak into those leaders' lives about what they would also like to see change. And the relationship with your leader builds because they feel like rather than you're coming at them with criticism or stuff you want, you're also coming alongside them to support them and to point out what they're doing well and how you can help them. And so that's funny. It comes back to that relationship piece. And I think, man, if you can actually build a relationship with the leaders in your business or the managers in your business, that's like the number one kind of first step to actually getting opportunities, because get time to talk with them, talk about what you're passionate about, hear about some of the opportunities that might be coming up. And then when it does, you're someone that they have a connection to.
I think it's so important for us as leaders to involve people in our decision making, because when you give somebody an insight into how you make a decision, they suddenly get this new perspective and they go, oh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. If there was a clear answer, I wouldn't be awake at 2 a.m. going, what the hell am I going to do now? So what you're saying, Anna, about as the employee, having some grace, recognizing that some of these decisions or these leadership situations are challenging, and how can you be supportive? And what that might do is your leader might then bring you along with them in a way that grows and develops you because you are learning. And I've got a couple of young people at the moment who are just a little bit snippy, for want of a better word. So I was due to be having this by then, and this is what I should be getting, and my review wasn't done on the appropriate time, and and I feel like, you just sometimes feel like screaming. This is not people who report directly to me, but in the wider organization, you feel like screaming, do you have any idea the roller coaster that we are on now, and we are all just hanging on for dear life. And that doesn't make it okay to be mean to people. It doesn't make it okay to bully people or to talk shit about people. But it does make it okay to occasionally be a little bit late on a bit of process that, is not time critical. And I think it's the kind of the people that you go, I can't have them around me. You are not going to go anywhere because you are not being a decent human, the way you are just poking the bear with your need for perfection.
Correct. Yeah. And it's just a lesson I wish I'd learned earlier in my career, actually. And
oh, God, yeah, me too.
So you don't realise how complex it is. But you're right. That's a really beautiful point about if leaders let more people into their decision-making, their empathy would grow. And we did a masterpiece of work, didn't we, Ish, around, it was called collaboration, but really it was about all of the leaders together learning to build real relationships. And part of that was sharing more what your viewpoint was so that your empathy would grow. And then the solutions would be built in a way that served kind of both, sides of the equation.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I'll hear people and they say, oh, I wish the culture in our business was kind of like yours, or how do we improve the culture? And I've pointed out to them on several occasions that the culture's not great. I'm like, you are the culture. You are part of the culture of that team. So what solutions are you bringing? Because when you throw those questions and those problems and those opinions at senior management who are doing everything else that they need to do, and then you expect them just to turn and focus on this one thing that actually you are part of.
Oh, I'm in charge of the shared lunch now, am I? As well as keeping the company afloat. Okay.
Exactly. So now it's like you have to have that perspective that you just can't pass on.
Oh, sorry, ideas. Ash. I just have to interrupt you because I'm organising the escape room because I'm in charge of culture now.
Yeah, okay. Look, CEO, do everything. I want the business to stay in business. I want us to make money. I want the culture to be awesome, and it's all on you. And we just pass that on so often up the chain, and not realising that, one, there is opportunity if you're seeing that. How do you become part of the solution? And two, you are part of the problem. So fix that as well. Don't just keep coming at and pointing fingers.
Love that.
Isn't that great one that we were talking about, which is when people go, oh, the traffic's terrible today. I'm like, you're not in traffic, you are traffic.
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
You're not just a passive observer of the culture. You are the culture in this organization. So bring something, you non-contributing zero.
Yeah, it's so interesting, actually, because I'm just working with a team at the moment, helping to set up their HR team, essentially. And we've taken the word culture out of the team. People and culture is now just the people team. And we had a big discussion, and I'm a massive fan of removing culture from a function because of that exact reason. It does not sit with a team organising parties. That's just nothing to do with anything. It's everyone.
All right, team, that has been an awesome chat. And I'm talking to this team here, Sasha and Anna. How cool is it to get to do some stuff again and just add some value, put some stuff out there, but kind of recapping through basic fundamentals of what we've been talking about. If you are applying for a job, get some basics right. Get the format right in your CV. Those spelling mistakes are saying things on your behalf and you are not there to defend them. So try to get that stuff right. Come with some questions that you can actually ask that are questions that you've pre-thought about so they can see the consideration, not just winging it on the spot. And also think about, just having a bit of a grateful attitude. You may not love the company that you work for, but you can still have a heart of gratefulness and attitude of gratefulness in the roles that you have. And then just always look at what value do you add in your current role or in potential roles, and does that align with where you want to be possibly in the future as well.
What I've so loved about this conversation is, and I don't know if you sense this, Ish, but like Anna's all grown up now. Do you get that? Like it's really, there's this kind of very senior, mature leader about you and the way that you describe these things. And I'm like, I can just tell there's a lot of deep thought that's going in to the people decisions that you're making and the organizations that you're working with. And I'm jealous that you're working with them and not us, but maybe you've outgrown us now too. You're clever. We're telling dumb jokes on our podcast.
Yeah, it's such a joy and a privilege to be asked on your podcast. You guys know how incredibly talented I think you are, and I used to just turn up to things we'd run. I'd just scrape in just to get the chance to hear you talk and present. So I'm so happy that you're doing this and that people get more of your incredible magic. And so thank you.
All right, Anna, so we're playing a game at the moment, and it's basically to figure out kind of what generation you gel with. So we're going to ask you a name or say a name, and then we just want you to finish the name by saying the surname of the first person that comes to mind. So we'll start it off with the one we usually start off with. Harry.
Potter.
Oh, there you go. Jane.
Yeah.
Did you say Jane here?
I'm going to sound old.
Jane here, that's good. Yeah.
You come up with a name, Sash? Something original.
John
Doe.
Oh, John Doe. John Doe, that's the name that you get when you don't have a name and you die in America.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
Good. Sinister way to finish the podcast there, Anna.
This has been a true crime. Actually, if we called it true crime, more people would listen.
Welcome to the True Crime Podcast with Sasha, Ish, and Anna.
Where you don't get fired, you get killed.